ballin'. I hate to say this, brother, but I think you're a fraud. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact. I do to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact. Oh, my glorious king! You were supposed to be invincible. You were supposed to be the strongest. You were supposed to be almighty. I was supposed to throw you in the original series and you would body everyone but the Chaos family. And maybe like the gods. And probably most of the sins. Okay, I expected you not to be like actually invincible, but still, man. How do you lose to a basic system mechanic? I know not everyone has it. But seriously, all they have to do is do the most basic thing you can in this universe. That like at least 50% of the casting do. Like there are 3 characters who are just magic attackers. 3! And their names are Merlin, Gother, and Elizabeth. Literally even Malaskiel is kind of a mix of, though she's mainly magic in her small form and mainly non-magic in her big form. But still, like, come on now, man. Why are they all women? Except for Gother. And Gother's not either. Nah, come on. What are you trying to say? But essentially, man, I'll get into it more when I get into it, but, you know, my heart hurts. My heart hurts. Yeah, I feel it. My heart. I don't know why. I always thought the heart was like down here beneath your left pectoral. Apparently it is towards the center of your chest. I don't know why I thought that. I guess because I always like, if ever I'm looking for my heartbeat, I do go right beneath the left pectoral, but I guess here it is. I mean, you do, like, when someone says cross your heart, you do go like this. You don't really, like, go lower. But still, regardless, even if he is a little teeny tiny bit, just an itty bitty bit fraudulent, you still gotta, funnily enough, the next time I think I'm gonna glaze somebody, I'll go grab it. I literally, because I bake cookies, because I like to bake, alright? I mean, I like to bake. I literally have a tube of, like, glaze, or at least frosting. So next time I go to record, I'll go grab that, so I can be like, oh, because I am so good at glaze. I'm gonna glaze multiple characters in this chapter. Really just the main two. No one else in this chapter does anything too crazy where I'm like, let me squeeze a dollop over here. Let me wring out a whole dollop of glaze over here. But the main two deserve some glaze. So even though my glorious, juicy, legendary, thick, stacked, meaty, pulsing, veiny king may just be, you know, he's not a fraud though. He's not a fraud. I'll defend him when it's time to defend him because they're like implications and stuff. But where before I would like be like, hey, maybe he's up there in like the top 20, 15, maybe even top 10 if some generous interpretations. I may have to kick bro all the way down to like top 25. Can I name 25 characters stronger than Ball? Well, this is the thing. It's really hard to tell where Gawain is at. Because we kind of got to use Gawain to measure ballin', because we aren't going to use Hauser to measure ballin'. So like there are things we got to do. And we'll talk about it more in depth as we get through the review. So let's not waste any more time and hop right into chapter 191, Do or Die for Yo, boy! Yo, I'm quitting my day job right now. I'm quitting YouTube right now. I'm becoming a rap. I should become a SoundCloud or no, YouTube rap. I can't even laugh at that though, because some of my favorite, in fact, funnily enough, a lot of the artists I listen to now are literally like exclusive YouTube rappers. Admittedly though, I think I kind of like, I zoned out from what I used to, because I used to listen to a whole bunch of Rusted, Schwabity, DPS, Dizzy 8 was one I was picking up on, Dripstick, Peso Pete was one I was obsessed with Peso Pete's music for a while. But that kind of stopped, I don't know what happened, I kind of stopped listening to music in general. But now I'm back on it a little bit. Like I've had Free Gojo by Dripstick on loop. Like just over and over again. It's 2 minute 40-second song. Fantastic song. 95 Mari's Maharaga Freestyle. That's another one I've been spamming. So yeah, I'm an anime, manga, anime rap YouTube guy. Yeah, I admit it. But are you really surprised? If you clicked on the back of the pencil, you know I'm a nerd. This isn't rocket science. That's why it's always funny. Like when someone's like, hey, I heard you make content. What do you talk about? Like sports? Health? Fitness? And I'm like, no. I'm going to be the buffest anime YouTuber you know. And I'm nowhere near. There are a bunch of buff anime. I did not realize how many buff people there were in content creation space. I was like, whoa. inspiration to the moon and back. But let's not waste more time, actually. Let's hop right in chapter 191, Do or Die Resistance. I'll admit, I do like this opening page of Ballin. Very smug, very confident. But once again, the one thing I'll note about Ballin, and the reason why I do have to drop him off, even if I am going to glaze him a bit, his veins are constantly popping. And don't get me wrong, Ballin is at the size where maybe your veins are just like constantly present. I know some people who are like extremely vascular where they don't do anything, but they're lean, extremely lean, so like their veins are just ever present. My veins only pop up like after like extreme flexing or exertion, or after like a bit of exertion. But like I even have, I think legitimately I only have vascularity because my dad's super vascular. Like he's just very lean and he always has arm veins. And then again, he's much older, so like that's not actually a good thing. But still, regardless, let's see. Oh, but I bring that up to say Ballin, he's already been shown to like be tensing his muscles a whole lot. And we know the thing with Invincible is that it's the perfect defensive magic, but it has basically no offensive application, meaning that Ballin's physical stats in terms of offense are basically doing all the work. He doesn't know any spells. He doesn't know anything like that. So honestly, while Invincible is undeniably one of the best offensive magics, I definitely do agree with everyone in the poll I did a few weeks back on picking Invincible over Diodora's magic, just because, you know, pain ain't fun. I do think in the long run, Diodora's is just gonna be better. Like just as it is now, not even in the long run. Right now, it's still better because of the damage reflection. So like you do actually get offensive and defensive utility. You do have to eat the pain at first, at least, but like it happens quick enough that doesn't matter. People will accidentally boom themselves. Meanwhile, with Ballin, even before, because it's not just the main nerf. Like I was hyping up the main nerf at the beginning, the, you know, BMX attacker and Ballin folds, but there's also like a pseudo side nerf that would allow some characters to possibly diff them, depending on how you think their abilities match up. With that being the case, enough. I just think he may not be as cracked stats wise either, even though he is pretty cracked stats wise, as I'll get into. Let's hop right, chapter 191, Do or Die Resistance, go! So we open up and we do get to see that Ballin and Gawain, that wasn't even intentional. That's embarrassing. I ought to delete this video right now, bro. Did I really say Gawain? Gawain? I wasn't even, that just came out. Is it because I was too focused on Barin? That, y'all didn't hear that, all right? That didn't happen. That didn't happen, all right? I didn't say Gawain. I promise. I didn't say Gawain. But with it being the case, Ballin and Gawain, they are boxing still. Very specifically boxing. Neither of them decide to pick up their swords immediately. I get that for Ballin, because he just doesn't need it. But like, Gawain, why did you wait until the end of the chapter to summon your sword? Why did you choose to fight him fist to fist? Like, we do get a mention later on this chapter that the reason she hasn't just BFR'd him, or the reason she goes to resort to what she resorts to later, is because she was so focused on his invincibility and trying to overcome it, damaging him through it. But like, you could damage him with a sword. I don't know, man. Like, and this is always me. Unless for some reason I'm in a fair sanctioned fight, I don't believe in fair fighting. Yes, I'm going straight for your eyes. Yes, I'm trying to rip your nose. I'm diving straight into your ears. You better not have anything dangling down low, because I snapped joysticks before and I snap them again. I do not care. Of course, you know I am a sprinter though. Like you boys sprint forever in the year, but I'm not a combatant. I'm nowhere near combat. I do the dash and make it go unbelievably fast. So like, don't even. I'll run in a heartbeat. Probably faster than one. But if it ever came down to it, if I'm fighting somebody, especially, I mean, obviously this isn't like a life or death tournament. I mean, Diodora's tried to make it a life or death tournament and did catch some bodies in this tournament, but outside the tournament. But this isn't a life or death tournament. But still, if I want to win, especially when I have what, two healers, and like two of the best healers. Like the only healer in the verse that's better than, darn brain farted, Percival and Tristan is literally just Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth and like, unironically, kind of Mael. It's weird, but the goddess healing just cracked. But like, remember Mael and how he like regenerated Escanor's entire body when Escanor was missing an eye, missing an arm? Like, we don't talk about that, but like Mael, sleeper, one of the best healers in the verse. I wouldn't just chalk it up to like Goddess Clan's be well ability though, but still like kind of cracked healing for Mael. Like, as a person who clowns on Mael very often, which I mostly like, I do it mainly for the power scaling meme. I know I've made an enemy of many a Mael fan in my day, but like, I do love the character. He's one of my favorites. I think he has one of, if not arguably, kind of the best, like, start to finish story in some ways. I feel very iffy about even, like, the main two story. Like, Melius and Elizabeth, I gotta have issues with it. But that's mainly because of how it's resolved. Not really the beginning or the middle of it. But with it being the case, I clouded him a lot. But my L's busted. Like, don't get me wrong. And I promise you, put him up against anyone that's not Prime Meliodas or any of the end of series characters, and he violates a whole bunch. Don't get me wrong. Prime Meliodas, he's a monster. He's a monster. And he also has a pretty diverse kit. So I don't have an olive branch, but let me extend it to my L fans. Trust me, I don't hate the brand. I just hate y'all overhyping. Let's see. All that to say, all that to get back to, yeah, gawain, why aren't you fighting with a sword? Like you can, as you show later on the chapter, you could literally summon it right back to your hand, and you could actually have brought a sword to a fist fight, and then you've actually done something, which you'll do later, but like still gawain. Why are you not thinking? You're supposed to be intelligent. But with it being the case, we see that Balin is like, oh, you fight for those dear to you. How very ladylike. Now, we already kind of called Balin the Rizzler last chapter review, but at the same time, like, how old is Balin? Don't get me wrong, gawain is 18, and that is, I think, even over the age of consent in Japan specifically, and just, like, I believe the general age ever, like, around the world of, like, adulthood. I don't know, man. Balin don't scream 18 to me. He screams mid-20 at his youngest. You know what I'm talking about? Mid-20s, like, Balin. You can't be trying to put your balls in. Things like that. But then again, of course, you know, it's Nakaba. I like, I think Nakaba, next to Fujimoto, who's also just weird. I think out of all the series I've consistently covered, especially for as long as I've covered them, like 4 nights, Nakaba's just a weirdo. I'm not like, I remember a friend of mine, they asked me so long ago, hey, I tried to get into sevendeadlysins, man, but it's just a little too weird. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, you're okay with that? I'm like, okay is a strong word. I think tolerate is the best. Like, I promise you, man, you remove all like the weird stuff from sevendeadlysins, and it's fine. It just gets better, in fact. It would be less popular, unironically, because sevendeadlysins is known, well, just for the sevendeadly frames incident, and also for its weirdness. Like, the biggest two panel, I mean, like, Balin and Elaine is brought up all the time. And hey, as a person who gets that Elaine is a fully consenting petite adult, right? Like, I understand that. And there are people, full-grown adults, who are just built like that. Balin is what, 7 foot? Like 6, how tall is Balin? How tall is Balin? It's just, okay, it's just weird. Like, and here's the thing. Let me not just chalk it up to anime. Hold on, let me see. Balin, sevendeadlysins. Let me see, how tall is Balin? I think Balin's like darn near 7 foot. Like, he's a giant. 6'11". 210, 6'11". That's massive. I would make like a basketball joke, but I'm not sure like what the association would be. Playing for the wrong Fox? I don't know. But with it being the case, I think it's weird that tall people go for short people in real life. I think, especially tall men, and of course you don't buy. But like, and maybe just because, you know, I like tall, muscular women. What can I think? You know, I got a type, and it's tall and muscular. So like, I get, but like, when I see like, if you're over 6 foot and she's under 5 foot, something's wrong. Something's wrong. She should not need a stepping stool to reach your neck, bro. No. And like, and especially, sorry, I'm going on a completely different tangent. I'm only on this like a bit. I'm sorry, I'm having fun. The live reaction over on Patreon, which you can check out for $1 a month, or you can remember for those $3 a month to check out the 30-minute live reaction. I was going on a point, and I kept cutting myself off because I knew I had the main review to record afterwards. But since I'm in the main review, I'm gonna yap a little bit extra. I mean, like, it is truly to each your own. You're two fully consenting adults. Do whatever you want to do, but it just looks weird. Like, I see it. But, like, if you're that tall, why do you not want someone taller? And, like, the excuse I've always heard is that there just aren't tall people built, like, the way they want their partner built. But that's a lie! Have you ever been to a gym? Singular? The amount of tall, muscular women that exist that I've just seen randomly. And like I've seen some fiends that just like straight up, it's just weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. And for reference, I'm not tall. I'm only, we'll drop the lower, whatever. If you're in a 4 Nights live reaction, you get it. I'm 6 foot and 3/4 inches. Sometimes I'm 6'1" on my driver's license. Is 6'1", but I have family members who are 6'1", and I'm noticeably taller than them. But I am noticeably shorter than another family member who's apparently only 6'3". So I don't know if I'm like 6'2" or 6'1", but essentially I'm over 6 foot. but I'm not like a Titan. I'm above average height, but I'm not a Titan. And thusly, like, I don't want a woman who's like at least 5'6". Like, you gotta be at least 5'6". You can't be a whole foot short. I can't look straight and not be able to see you. Like, that's always bothering me. I don't know. But that's just a me thing. All that to say, Ballin, you swinging a little low, buddy? You know this Dawn form, it's not constant. She's like 2 feet tall most of the time. But let's see. But Ballin the Baller he throws out this compliment of sorts, I suppose. And Gawain is like, oh, go on ahead. Pretend to know anything about me. But yes, the old me would be rolling on the floor if she heard that. So I do like this. Admittedly, I was a little mixed at first, but I do like Gawain acknowledging her own character development here a bit, right? Where ultimately, she, does have her own sense of identity to some degree, right? But she, and we'll get into her not fully understanding or not necessarily respecting, like, she respects herself, obviously, she has this whole moment here. But she has her own sense of identity. So she's like, Bone, you don't know anything about me. How dare you try to assume things just because of my one statement that you figured out? Like, that's kind of rude of you, buddy. But also, I like that Gawain acknowledges that 2 years prior, the old her, the one that didn't have any worldly experience, the one that didn't have any connections, the one that didn't have any bonds, any friends to fight for, she would have fell hook, line, and sinker for that. Because that would have been an insult to her, right? Being called ladylike. And we can even remember this. If you go back to Gawain's introduction, back in the Invasion of Leonis arc, it was, I believe it was Big Daddy Pal, who was like, how very ladylike. And Gawain was like, lady! And just it tweaked out. Or it was Galen. One of the two. It may have been both. That were like, woman! And she was like, woman! And immediately tweaked out on them. But Gawain, even if you can tell she's bothered by a little bit, considering she does, like, jab back, at least, she's not letting it control her, she's not letting it get her off tempo, she's showing her development, and she's acknowledging that. And I do like that, especially considering Gawain is a character with an identity crisis. And fun fact, I thought about this in between the recording of live reaction starting recording this review, so I'll talk about it right here. Gawain thinks, who am I? Who gave birth to me? Why do I only have an interest in women? Gawain? Let's just say you got the interest in the right type. Women? You and me, Gawain. Yeah, but... I'm sorry. Women are so attractive, bro. I'm sorry. Women, bro. Most beautiful things on earth. But most beautiful people on earth. But with that being the case, why can I not feel love for other people? I'll break this down bit by bit. But the main thing I want to overarch and highlight before I forget it, because I will. Gawain and every single one of the other knights has an identity crisis of some sort. Some stronger than others. Obviously, Gawain has been the focal point, kind of, sort of the identity crisis. I think it's her. Well, really, because I think of the big three. The one that I was struggling for a little bit to come up with an identity crisis for was Lance. I don't know why. Like, I love Lance. I was like, does he have an identity crisis? Because essentially, I kind of realized, oh, this is an overarching theme of all 4 characters. All of 4 knights have identity crises. Gawain is the most overt, the idea that she doesn't know her history, she doesn't know any of her lore, and unlike Percy, she didn't get to take a 2-year nap and learn from the other spirits that, hey, you're a life spirit, here's the whole lore drop. She never got that. And she didn't have an uncle to come in and drop all the lore either. She just doesn't get herself. So she is like peak identity crisis because she has no information and really wants to know. Then we have number 2 identity crisis, at least in terms of our main character in Percy, who doesn't struggle with his identity as much more since he knows he's a life spirit, he has a bit of his history, has a bit of his lore, and he already broke down from the idea of not being Varghese' grandchild and Ironside's son. But still, there's clearly some identity conflict going on there with his feelings about Theodora, even before Theodora ended up, turning super duper evil. So we have that identity crisis. Then, of course, we have Tristan's identity crisis with the whole idea of being a demon, a descendant of the demon clan, these monsters, these beasts, these animals, within that dark power inside of him, and the conflict he has between his normal self, his goddess self, and his demon self, this internal turmoil, the chaos that boils inside of him. So all 3 of them have super strong identity crises that are very core to their character. But then I was like, man, I want to say this is a theme and not coincidence, but what is Lance's identity crisis? Lance's identity crisis is very specifically based on his power versus his ability to apply said power. Am I saying that Lance thinks he's a fraud? Yes. He's not. He's clearly, right now, so far from what the post-Timeskip Knights have shown, none of them have even scratched the toes of pre-Timeskip Lance. But thanks to the conflict with Jericho, and clearly what was implied to be a long-standing desire to not even want to return to go see his parents, because he felt like he failed the whole Jericho situation, and was essentially self-exiling from his parents, until Percy died. Like, clearly, he has an identity crisis of his own. He just doesn't know what to do with himself. He's got all this raw power. Heck, he still can probably barely understand himself, because I don't think he ever told anybody about what happened in the whole mystical realm he was taken away to with Jericho. He has one of the most subtle ones, to the point where it didn't immediately spring to mind, like it did with Gawain, like it did with Percy, like it did with Tristan, but Lance has an identity crisis of his own. So I think an overarching theme, and watch y'all be like, Pencil, buddy, old man, wake up, Pencil. We've been new to this, but sorry, it's only just clicking for me. I don't know why it's just clicking for me. The identity crises of all the Four Knights. Maybe make a separate video about that. But all four of them have it, and it's interesting to have an overarching theme of identity, especially in a sequel series. Especially in a sequel series. That idea, and I think it actually is kind of common for sequel series. Like, Heroes of Olympus has a big identity theme. I'd say Boruto actually has a pretty large theme of identity, like the whole idea of names and families, and like choosing that and what that means. Heck, the main plot twist of Boruto and its sequel is a whole mistaken identity mishap. I haven't watched Leverage Redemption just yet. I need to actually sit down and buckle down and watch that, but maybe that'll have an identity. Like, it seems like identity is a big thing in sequel works, and the main reason I assume it's a big thing in sequel works is because of having a sequel having its own identity relative to its original. Right? And the struggle that comes with that. How do you build upon the legacy of and keep the same aspects of what people loved about an original while making something new and unique? It's a difficult thing. Like, that's the thing with making any sequel ever. It's why I kind of love the Kingdom Hearts series, even if I am currently still in despair despite getting 7 images from it for Kingdom Hearts 4, because I'm like, all the sequels have basically their own identity. Recom is a completely different game from 1. 2 is a completely different game from Recom and 1. BBS is a completely different game from anything that came before it. Even DDD, which iterates on BBS, is a fundamentally different game as well with the drop system. Coded is a completely different game in of itself on multiple levels. There are different ways that those games function. And Days is completely different. And 3, while it's mostly a return to form, quote unquote, it's kind of its own thing too. Like, so far, and that's why I'm excited for 4. I'm wondering where they're going to take it. Because the way that Kingdom Hearts addresses the whole sequel thing and the idea of identity is that it'll keep certain core traits, such as characters, motivations, and weapons. But it'll completely change the gameplay, but that's for a video game. And obviously you have like narratives that will struggle more to separate yet align with their original. And I'd say Four Knights is doing a very good job. Like, if I had to give Four Knights a rating specifically just as a sequel, I think it's just a 10 out of 10. And you may be like, 10 out of 10? Actually, no, I give it like 8. I give it an 8. Mainly because, like, poor Diane. Poor Diane. And poor Elizabeth too. Like, even heck, Zeldris, a couple of sequel character or prequel characters have been done, let's say, not the best in terms of like what they've actually been able to do in the sequel series. And I get it, because I got to nerf them, or nerf them, or just not make them dominate the plot. But that outside of those couple, the series is so well intertwined with its original that Nakaba's claim of, hey, you can read it, you just don't have to read Seven Deadly Sins, it's just wrong. Like Four Knights, while a strong story on its own, is infinitely stronger with the context and history of Seven Deadly Sins backing it up. And I do agree, because I mentioned that before, and someone commented, Naga probably just said that to get people to buy the manga, and to make people feel like they didn't have to gatekeep themselves. And that I do agree with. Ultimately, I think Nakaba made that claim, because even though it's just false, people gotta buy the manga somehow, buddy. I don't blame them. Do what you gotta do. But with it being the case, we have Gawain having this identity crisis, we have Gawain acknowledging her character development, and we have Ballin being like, cool story, girl, and just palming her directly to the face. Notably, like, a real, like, palm strike, too. Like, notably, I think of a palm strike like this. No, Ballin, he does, like, the claw and just boom. Straight booms Gawain. Or, my apologies, he doesn't boom her, actually. He, whams her and straight sends her flying. And she does manage to stay on her feet, which is very, very impressive. Once again, Gawain presumably just doesn't have that much experience physically fighting. Like, let's think about it. There's definitely no way she was ever fighting in Camelot beforehand. She may have been training with her grandparents, but clearly probably not in this form and not as aggressively as this. Then she had the Invasion of Leonis arc, where she basically mostly lost the fight against Gong because she couldn't do any damage, and then resorted to an offhand tactic and to tear him apart. And that was minimal direct combat. Well, actually, there was a decent chunk. Gong was kind of beating on her, but still, that was it. Then she fights against Meligown for a little bit. Then she loses all her power. Arthur shows up. She then stays in small form for a while and doesn't actually engage too often with too many demons. We just don't know how the Walnut fight against those 6 random demons went. We just don't know how that went. Presumably Lance may have carried. We just don't know. But presumably she was also in small form then. And she had the fight against the Testament Beast. So she actually is kind of lacking experience in direct physical hand-to-hand combat, but she's doing a pretty good job of staying on her feet and ultimately eating a whole bunch of hits, considering she's probably not used to this. And especially, remember, unlike Escanor, who had at least a pseudo-regeneration factor with Sunshine, not Gawain. Every single bit of damage she's taken has been maintained with no signs of it closing or healing away. But with it being the case, we see that Gawain, because of her internal conflict, is nerfing herself. And admittedly, I know some people don't like to believe it, but Seven Deadly Sins is one of them universes. I've seen people argue, well, you can't argue, and this is mainly for like people who want to downplay post-Purg Mel. People are like, you can't, and post-Purg Mel, and then I think super upscale King Mel? But essentially, they're like, well, you can't say mental nerfs and like feeling bad like directly nerfs your output and power and stuff in Seven Deadly Sins. That's nonsense. Yes, it does. Did you read, do we read the same, like, yes, your mental state matters. Mental states have allowed characters to go from barely doing any damage to one-shotting people. Remember King? Remember King in his mental state? Yeah. Real rough. Remember Bond in his mental state? Yeah. Real rough. Melia, like, there's so many different times where characters get massive amps from certain mental states. What? So obviously Gawain having this inner conflict while she's fighting Bond is like the worst thing that could be happening. And of course Bond is bringing out this inner conflict because he's just like an invincible wall. I play the Invincibles thing, but every time I try to do that in a video, it gets claimed. But with it being the case, we see Gawain ask, what can someone as defective as me do for her companions? And that is... now this, all the mystical, magical muscles aside, this tickles a certain part of my soul. And like, it's mainly because of the idea that I think it crosses everybody's mind at some point. Maybe not some people, but it's crossed my mind at a point where I sometimes wonder, especially after I've done something that felt like a mistake or ultimately I didn't agree with or felt wrong, I always think like, man, would the world, would the people I care and love, would they be better off without me? Like, what can I even do for them? Am I just like a burden on people's lives? Like, I've had those thoughts before. It really has been a long while since I've had those thoughts. I think it's like, I'm a full-grown man now. Where before I was like living with people, I am still living with my friends, but outside of that, I don't know. I don't really feel those thoughts anymore. I'm like, I'm a full-grown adult, working a full-time job, paying my own bills. How could I? Like, how am I bothered anyway? But back in the day when I was a youth, I did have those thoughts, and it does always come in those moments of doubt. It's like the effect where you're sad and then you decide to listen to sad music. Why am I putting on XXX Tentacion or whatever while I'm already crying in the club? Why am I doing that? What is the point of that? Why am I sad overdosing? I never got why I did that. Still occasionally do it. Really, I think because it's weird. I haven't really been sad. Sometimes I just put it on when I'm in a mood. Sometimes you want to like put the depression on for some reason, or like put the sadness on. But that's the thing. I get those thoughts. But notably, you want to know what got me out of those thoughts, or at least permanently to the point where every time one of those thoughts would maybe even like begin to somewhat creep up into my younger self's conscious. It was the Fairly Odd Parents episode where Timmy wished that he wasn't born, and it was Jorgen von Strangle who like took him throughout the alternate timeline and was like, hey gang, you may not know it, but you do have a positive effect on many people. And sure, they may seem happy on the surface level, but look a little deeper and you'll see how empty they are. Specifically Timmy's parents. Like notably, yeah, I'd imagine if I were to suddenly spontaneously disappear, my parents wouldn't be happy. So I get that worry, that fear, especially if you do want to be someone reliable, someone who can be trusted, someone who people can lean on. It definitely is hard to sit back and not really feel like you were the best version of yourself, or you're just fundamentally, even if you are the best version of yourself, the best version of yourself simply isn't good enough. And maybe you shouldn't be there. Well, I always think you should be, right? Like, in the grand calculus of the cosmos, your very existence is a miracle upon a miracle upon a miracle upon a miracle upon a miracle. Realize there have been countless humans who were never lucky enough to walk the earth. By countless, I literally mean countless. And on top of that, there are countless humans who have walked the earth and still do, but they aren't you. You are always unique. You are always an individual. You always have value simply by the means of your existence. I know the phrase goes, I think, therefore I am. But in my case, I always think of it as, I think, therefore I am worth. Or I have worth. Because I cannot exist. Like I always make this joke with my mom where she's like, oh, you know, sometimes I wonder what you would be like if your dad was somebody else. And I'd be like, that's not me. That's not me. And he's like, no, it's still me. I'm like, no, they could have my exact same name. But the moment it's not, heck, I could have, like, you could have done it a different day and I wouldn't be me. Like, legitimately, the stars aligned to create me. I have that perfect example in my brother, who's a completely different guy than I am. Same parents, same household, same everything. Brother's a completely different dude. We came from the same people. So, like, legitimately, you are special. You are unique. You have value simply for existing. And that's the same case for Gawain. But, of course, since this is the whole identity crisis in the point of the character, she doesn't realize that. And obviously, Balin just beasting on her is not helping. Though she is, once again, holding up, not knocking over, and blocking some of these attacks as Balin swings and cracks against her guard. And we see, as Percy and Nasian's Donnie, Isolde, and even Tantris all look on with worry, she thinks, I don't know if they even see someone as defective as me as a companion at all, but... And that is a thing where I was, once again, initially a bit conflicted, where I'm like, Gawain, buddy, wow, do you not remember them, I don't know, maybe, just maybe, leaping off the Albion to come save you, and specifically declaring that you were their friend? I remember that, Gawain. And funnily enough, at this point, I believe the end of the Demon Arc was like 2-3 years ago. So it's about the same time in universe, and it's been out of universe since that moment happened. So Gawain, don't tell me you forgot it. But I actually do like it, because ultimately that's kind of how life works, right? You know how many times I've had to learn the same lesson over and over again? How many times I've recorded too late, or done something out of order, or done something wrong, and just haven't optimized? Yeah, that's life. That's sort of life. Sometimes you make the same mistake 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. And of course, you know, the definition, but not definition of insanity, I think it's a Far Cry quote, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something to change. Yeah, it'd be like that. And that's just for, like, regular life stuff. For an internal crisis like this, because Gawain has got no answers, right? Like, she's got no lore. Percy, he got the life spirit 2-year vacation. Tantris, he knows his mommy and daddy. He may not know his grandparents, but he knows his, well, no, he would know his grandparents because he's got the memories. Lancelot, he knows his direct lineage. Literally. Except for, like, maybe the Lance's or Bond's family. But that's it. What does that matter? They're all dead. So, it is literally Gawain, who knows nothing. She just exists. She's the son of Kay, presumably. Or the daughter of Kay, presumably. That's about it. That's all she's got. And she knows that's not true. She can sense it. So, ultimately, this identity crisis and her struggling with this ability to connect, which she says isn't a problem for her, it does make sense. It's just considering right after she thought she had that connection, they split up. Gawain had to go back to Camelot. Percy, once again, as much as I love the character choice now and I love Percy on the return, Percy essentially abandoned them right after declaring, hey Gawain, we're friends and we'll always be here to protect you. Percy was like, actually, and logged off the server for 2 years. So yeah, I don't blame Gawain for her self-doubt because it's still new to her. It's like, how long did she spend with the Leonis gang? Maybe a month? Because they went from, they met in Leonis, a day passed, another day passed, they went to Walnock, the night passed, they sent Jade back, they went to the Demon World, I think trained for like a week. So like, they spent all 2 weeks together. Gawain still having this problem as a character makes sense and is thematic. But with it being the case, we see someone as effective as me as a companion at all, but no! I have to focus on defeating this guy for now. I like how Gawain, once again, and this is the thing that admittedly I relate to too. Because I am definitely a multi-thought thinker. You see it happen in the videos all the time, where I'll start talking about something, then I'll branch off, then I'll branch off, then I'll branch off, and then maybe 25% of the time I'll be able to loop back around to the original point and be like, hey, here's how I got through that entire thread of thoughts. But it's rare. It's not as bad as a shiny chance, but like, it's about the same chance as you missing Blizzard. AKA enough of a chance that's not 0. And with that being the case, I get that hyperlink thinking where you just go from point to point to point to point to point and then lose it. And that is kind of how you downward spiral, too. Like, notably, I talked about the effect earlier, sad overdosing, where you're already in a bad headspace, and then you listen to the bad music, which puts you into a further bad headspace, which puts you into more bad... Like, it domino effects on top of itself. And that's where Gawain was for a second. And I like that she has that moment of clarity where she locks back in. She's like, no, I'm thinking too much. I've been overriding it. I got one mission, one objective. Give this man back shots or front shots, whichever makes him hurt. And we see she says, but how can I do that? How can I apply any damage to him? Fists, weapons, fire, wind, ice, lightning? No attack I've tried has dealt him any damage at all. Which... I'll save it. Do I save it for the end? I want to talk about it now. Do I talk about it now? We'll talk about it when she tries another spell later on, when the desperation kicks in. But, like... I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. But we see... Like, Gawain has a realization. Wait a minute. All these offensive spells that are meant to do, like, actual direct damage haven't done anything. But then, as she gets popped in the mouth, after hitting the... Capital D. Starts dropping it over the loudspeaker. What would it be? The mental broadcast? I don't know. But Balin is now calling the shots. Does Gawain still have a chance to turn it around? And we see Kion ask naturally, oh, sweet mother of mercy, I could have sworn I did not get eliminated for this. What is she doing? And obviously the main man, Bors is like, hey, can you blame her against that monster? And you know what? I'm gonna mention it now. So if you didn't know this is this chapter, Balin can only take damage from 2 increments of force at once. So he can only block physical or magic damage. And initially, I was gonna freaking geek and call Balin like the superest fraud to ever fraud, but then it actually hit me. Despite the fact that coating your weapon in magic gives you a confirmed 10 times boost as long as you have destroyer type magic. Basically, no one does it, or at least not consistently. The only person who you may be able to argue does it consistently is King, because his thing's like overflowing with magic. But like, who knows if the Spear Spirit just counts as another magical attack despite having a physical form? I don't know, maybe. But with it being the case, that's it. All you gotta do is use both of the power systems at once. Use the Fizz and magic. But then I thought about it, man. Mel barely does that. He has free access to Enchant Hellblaze. Rarely uses it. He uses it in like 1,000 Divine Cuts. That's it. And sometimes he occasionally just enchants it up and swings like once. That's it. And sometimes he just doesn't do it. Same thing with Bond. Admittedly, Bond's Snatch is a little bit weirder. It's not something like Darkness or Light or anything like that where you can directly infuse into a weapon. But we've seen it glow before. Rarely does it. In fact, it has the ability to absorb other attacks to redirect him. So like, it really only glows when that's about to happen. It's just a rough spot. What was I talking about? Gosh darn. See, this is one of those moments where my brain... I don't even think I'm that eepy. But I do feel a little bit of eepiness coming on. So I'm gonna see if I can... Remember, what was I just talking about? Oh, against that monster. The idea that Balin's Invincible is so, like, generically system mechanic countered. I guess it makes sense, though. And the reason I say it makes sense is not only do, like, top tiers, if not god tiers in the verse, like True Magic Mel, rarely coat weapons in their blades when they're using physical attacks, but also, it's just kind of rare. Like, we can definitely think of a couple mixed attackers who do the whole coating weapon with magic thing. But at the same time, I can name a bunch of people who could do it, and then just still wouldn't be effective against Balin specifically. Like, Elizabeth is literally useless against Balin. None of her attacks would work. And even if you say, well, she could choose. This is why I don't yap, but I'm sleepy. But she can infuse light into her hand to smack somebody, as we saw with Prime AML. But remember, since Balin's ability works by just canceling out one, whatever he picks, he would notice a gigantic ball of light and attempt to cancel that out, and essentially completely ignore the slap from Elizabeth. Like that's a matchup that goes horrific. Essentially, anyone who can only do one thing is kind of cooked. Like, even Escanor in most scenarios would be cooked, because he rarely does it. Think about it. How many times has Escanor lit Rita on fire, if ever? Ever. Like I generally can't think of one. Not off the top of my own piece. I remember there's a shot of him about to slay Galen that has, like, the sun around it, but, like, I can't remember a single time. Remember Estarossa, who had to eat that cruel sun directly to the face? Balin could have just stood there and faced him, because there's no fizz behind it. And, like, that's the thing. There are cases where Balin's ability is kind of useless, but I still say it is mostly overall useful, because not everyone can infuse their weapon with something. But with it being the case, we see that ultimately, and it's like, oh, but look at her. And Nastin says, is that a smile I see? And Gawain goes, yeah. She can sit in the yeah, I don't know where that. I'm so sorry. I will replace this chair eventually, but I don't know where that Sonic meme came from. It's like a Sonic 3D model where he hits like, and then he does like the hair thing. I don't have enough hair to do it, but like, and I've seen so many variants of it. Like I saw a Sukuna variant. I don't think I've actually seen a Gojo variant yet. I saw an Emma Frost variant, a Dr. Strange variant. Like I've seen so many of that. Like the tongue out, the tongue out in the hair, like I've seen so much. And I'm assuming she's in that exact same laugh as she goes, "What have I done? What have I done? I was distracted so much by the drive to damage your invincibility." So we can see the main reason Gawain hasn't BFR'd Ballin isn't because of any sense of pride. It's because she just was too focused on trying to overcome it. And you know, I get that. Like, and notably, I haven't really played a Souls-like. I don't think Black Kong counts as a Souls-like, and I mean, Hollow Knight technically is a Souls-like, kind of, because of the systems. But I feel like Hollow Knight rarely counts. But ultimately, I get that. Sometimes something just seems hard in a video game, and you're like, I can probably do it. Like, it's gonna take me a while. It's gonna take me a bit of adaptation, but I'll figure it out. And sometimes you do just throw your head against the wall, even if you know the better solution is to go grind. Or get better weapons, or respec. Like sometimes I did just throw my head into a wall. In fact, fun fact, for a majority of my Black Myth Wukong playthrough, I had no idea you could respec at shrines. I think I found out in like chapter 4. Oh, no. I know when I found out when I could respec at shrines. It was at chapter 3 at the final boss in Yellowbrow. Because I was specifically in the New West, and I was just banging because I didn't use Ring of Fire in my setup. I needed to respec, I needed to change spells. So I didn't know how to escape the boss. But I was trying to play Black Myth Wukong with no spoilers. I missed a whole bunch of stuff in my first playthrough. So I literally looked it up, and I was like, you can respec at the shrines? Wait a minute! And I went to respec at the shrines, fully leveled up Ring of Fire, and then I went in and absolutely violated Yellowbrow. So that's the thing. Sometimes, especially if you are focused on a specific task, man, any logical thought will go out the window. And I get it for Gawain. Once again, she's only 18. She's still very, very young. And even me, as a guy who's older than 18, go chunk older than 18, I have those moments too to this day where I will just throw myself against the wall, even if I know in real life and in gaming where like there's no reason to, but I do be doing it. Let's see, she hits a certain pose and starts saying certain words that I don't know what they mean, so I ain't gonna say them. But Ball looks on confused and with an exclamation point as Gawain suddenly casts Sandman. And if you don't know Sandman, that's typically, I forget. I know the series from DC, which features Dream of the Endless, is called Sandman. And I know there's Sandman from Rise of the Guardians. But obviously, like, the Sandman is a person who's supposed to, like, drizzle sand on you when you go to sleep. So, by using Sandman, Ballin gets hit, and then he goes, huh, whatever that's meant to do. It's not good. But you know what's different about Ballin? No, not the fact that he's apparently susceptible to non-damaging magic, which is really, really bad, because there are a lot of characters with non-damaging magic, or at least not immediately damaging magic in the verse, and out of the verse, who would viciously dev Ballin if this is really the case. And it clearly is. But he falls asleep standing. And you can tell he is, like, truly, genuinely asleep. He's not playing around here. Because you can see he closes his eyes, and, like, his veins are popping as if he's a little bit annoyed. And then he just smiles serenely as he sleeps. I cannot bring myself to hate Ball. Even with the multiple nerfs that he gets hit with this chapter. Like, the end of chapter nerf is obviously a massive one, because it basically means any mixed attacker in the verse just gives him bad shots. Well, with certain stats. I'll get to the whole stats argument later and why Ballin is still definitely a monster, even if, ultimately, he's not as monstrous as we were all, well, me, and maybe some other Ballin glazers, Ballin bouncers, if you will. I cannot say Ballin bouncer. Fine. Me and every other Ballin bouncer out there. Maybe we were hoping he'd be a bit more invincible. But even with those two major nerfs, he's still such a cool character. And I love it. He sleeps so peaceful. Like, I don't even sleep with a smile on my face. When I sleep, I'm like... That's still really, really bad. Like, it's awful. But with it being the case, he just goes to sleep. And he's so adorable. I mean, he falls asleep standing up. It's actually hilarious. He doesn't fall over. He does not collapse, which is a testament to, like, his balance. Like, I've fallen asleep standing before, but I'm usually up against a wall whenever I do that. And I'm very tired. But, like, standing in the middle of an open field, or, like, on an open tournament stage and just standing upright while asleep, very impressive. And we see that everyone from the crowd, from Donnie to Hauser to Pelio to Percy, are like, there's no way that just happened. I have got to be tweaking right now. My eyes must be genuinely glitching. He fell asleep? And obviously, Gawain goes, shh, shh, pipe down. What's wrong with you? And Ballin's like, oh, wow. So, Sandman, it's a nice spell, I'll admit. And hey, it's a spell I don't think Merlin... Watch. Someone's going to be like, oh, you don't think Merlin had that spell pencil? Here's the chapter. Here's a chapter. Here's a volume. Here's the person she used it on. So, correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't think Merlin had a sleep-inducing spell. I think she had sleep-inducing medicine. I remember those, like, extras where she tested a whole bunch of medicine on Hawk and Escanor. But I don't think she actually had, like, a sleep-inducing spell like Sandman. So that's actually a little bit of broadening of Gawain's kit. The only thing she needs now, I believe, to match Merlin, because she has all the elements. She'll need double impact. She'll need Chrono Coffin for a time spell. And what else? I think that's kind of... I mean, like, she needs faster teleportation. She needs better application of her magic, where she doesn't have to chant so much. And presumably a weapon that amps her magic more directly, not just Rita, the piece of Rita that she's wielding. So, like, there definitely is still stuff on the horizon for Gawain. But speaking of stuff on the horizon, Ballin blinks and is like, oh, well, kind of goated. And we see Gawain say, oh, come on! You guys keep on cheering, and I woke up that fast! Thing is, though, Gawain... I hate to say this, but why are you not teleporting him outside the arena? Now that we know it's not like a pride thing, you were legit just interested, why don't you just, even for the 5 seconds he was asleep, why would you not just warp him out? Just straight boom him. Obviously not boom, but like, you can teleport other people, Gawain. Please. She hasn't made contact, but still, like, you could have ran up, touched them, teleported out, and then teleported back. Like, you could have done it. But maybe she doesn't want to leave the arena herself, because that would be considered already breaking the rules, and she'd get eliminated. But at the same time, she can just teleport him right over the pit. What is he supposed to do? He can't fly. Doesn't have any other magical abilities. He's just invincible. So he's kind of rough. But, of course, we see Ballin be like, oh, sorry. I'm a light sleeper. I am the exact opposite. I'm a hard sleeper. Heavy sleeper. Where, like, I'll just... And it could be literally chaos outside. And I'm not talking like chaos as in, oh, people causing chaos. No, I'm talking Sonic Adventure 1 fully perfect chaos. Outside the door. And I'll just be... I don't know why. My dad used to be that way, but now he wakes up easier. But me, the only way you wake me up, you better shake me. Or that alarm better be super duper loud and piercing. That's about the only way that I will be summoned from anything. Specifically sleep. But with it being the case, we see Ballin say, sorry, I'm a light sleeper. But that was quality sleep though. Thank you. I'm sorry, he's just so cool. I like here's the thing. And I'll say this, he's not just cool. I think the thing I like about Ballin so much is that he's not just cool, but he's also like very cordial and polite, right? Like, characters of his ilk that are literally invincible, have never taken damage in their life, are built like that to the moon and back, have probably never been humbled if his return or refusal to leave the cauldron is any indication. You'd think he'd be super duper arrogant, super duper confident. Kind of like Dareth was when he first popped out of Gareth. But Ballin, he's like, well, shoot. Nice 30-second nap, I guess. Neat. And he actually thanks her. But once again, this is that level of indirect disrespect, if you will. Like saying that was quality sleep, thank you, to an attack that was meant to defeat you, that's a little triggering. And we see that Gawain gets rage baited here. She says, I don't need you to thank me. And Ballin walks on going, mink, 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 mink. And she's thinking out loud here now as she's getting kind of beasted on. As she says, at this rate, destroyer type magic won't cut it. I know I need to learn some shifter and mentalist spells too. So that's interesting, right? Because we know she has access to mentalist type magic. We just don't know if she can use shifter, whether shifter is active on other people or activated on herself. I'm not sure what the shifter type power would do in this scenario, but I do get the mentalist, because I believe the salmon spell is a mentalist spell. It's probably just not very effective because there are people around there cheering and watching. So like, That'll definitely do it. What was I talking about? Gosh darn it. I gotta stop recording with Evie, bro. I shouldn't even be Evie. It's not that late. But, oh yeah, Gawain already has mentalist spells. But I'm guessing they just simply aren't as effective as like a better mental spell would be. While Sandman is good for immediately incapacitating an opponent, it's not good to prevent multiple opponents. What am I thinking of? Yeah, multiple opponents, because if you were fighting someone and you Sandman on them, as long as there's noise around them, they're probably gonna wake up. Or heck, even if you jostle them, move them at all, probably crashes. But with it being the case, we see that Gawain doesn't have too much time to worry about what she should and should not have learned, and she gets gut checked to oblivion and beyond. And Damon is like, "This thing I felt from that girl, was it all in my head?" Notably, we don't actually get any Gother perspective of this chapter, so we don't know what he feels about that. But what I'm assuming is it's a mix of Gother, Jane Lee messing with his memories and being like, "Hey, calm down, I promise, this isn't that important, don't worry about it." Chaos also doing that and being like, "Hey, give me your heart. Let me eat it." Like there's that. What was I talking about? No, I don't want to take a nappy wappy in the middle of recording, bro. I don't want to take a nappy wappy. I want to get the recording done. It's nearly an hour. Hold on, we're gonna do some jumping jacks. We're gonna get the blood flowing. What on earth are they talking about? And the shifter mental magic, what's it all in my head? Oh, I was going down the list. It's either Gotha directly interfering with Damon's memories, Chaos directly interfering with Damon's memories. It is Gawain not actually having sun or sunshine or any of its variants, rather just dawn, an own unique offshoot created by Merlin. And 4, that's really it. I think there was a 4th one, but I generally don't forget. Hold on, let me get these jumping jacks. Thank you for anyone who sticks through my nonsense, bro. I love the yap, and I'm glad y'all enjoy the yap, but blood flow, please. Oh, all right. Well, the arms about. Whew. Wake up! It's not the first of the month. Woo! I also want to play Rivals after this, but I'm gonna end up rivaling myself to sleep. Let's see. But yeah, I'm assuming it's a mix of all 4 or one individually that Damon just isn't impressed by Gawain anymore. Notably, later on when she ends up using Rita and the Afterglow Blade, he doesn't comment there either. But then again, the chapter really ends right after, so I wouldn't be shocked if he's gonna get a comment next chapter. But with it being the case, we see that Gawain throws in a left hook and it just bounces right off of Ballin's face. She goes, "You!" and it does nothing. And Ballin's like, "Okay, I was expecting like something half decent. This ain't that." And begins just to walk forward, straight ore farming in the walk. And we see Gawain say, No, get back, get away from me. Negative 1,000,000 aura. This is gonna haunt Gawain's aura farming total for the rest of her days. We're gonna be 400 chapters down the line, and she's gonna have Arthur by the cowl, and I'll be like, "Hey, remember when Gawain begged the full man to get away from her because she punched him in the face and didn't do anything?" Yeah, it's gonna look rough in a while. But would that be the case? We see that Hauser points out, she's fallen into panic. And Pelagio says, "Not good," as Ballin swings and cracks Gawain across the face again with another left. And ultimately, as Gawain tries to resist by firing off a lightning attack and Blitz Javelin, Ballin's like, "You're wasting your time, lady." And we see Gawain begin to fade as she reminisces over a conversation she had with her grandparents. "There's this guy that my magic does nothing against."
"You're fine, Gawain. You can do it."
Grandma.
"Yes, not to worry. I know you can win."
Mm-hmm. Yeah? You think so? I can trust in that?
And the dinosaur grandpa says, "Oh, yes, of course. After all, you're the strongest out there, Gawain."
See, I get glazing your grandkids, but I ain't gonna lie to him. You know Lance is stronger. Maybe they don't actually, though. They may not actually know. But still, gosh darn it. As we see Gawain lock back in after this flashback and declare, "Yes, I am the strongest." "You don't look like Big Kuna to me." She wipes Big Kuna. She violates the JJK verse, being completely honest. Teleported bleeding to Gojo's skull in that man's coat. But with it being the case, we see she pulls back, and Ballin is actually genuinely shocked, seemingly genuinely worried, and boom! Rising impact, right uppercut of doom, despair, and dereliction. But as she looks down in shock, a bit of terror, uncrosses the arms. What? Oh no. He crosses the arms to block. And we see the rising impact hits, but since he blocked it, he's perfectly fine. And he immediately goes in for a right kick to her gut, sending her flying back again, but once again, not enough to actually knock her off her feet, only to stagger her heavily. And we see the Ballin begins to walk forward again, straight aura farming, and Tony's like, it's no use! It's no use! He's unshakable! And we see Gareth realize something that Pelio goes on to point out, or Hauser and Pelio go to point out. Did you catch that? Yes. For the first time, Ballin bothered to guard himself. Essentially exposing the weakness, right? She infused her fist with fire. It was a physical and magical attack. She used eyeliner. Wait, what? Where is my brain? Where is my brain? Go! The funniest thing is, none of y'all acknowledge my brain farts in the comments. And I'm glad. But it would be funny for someone to... I would love, like, someone who hasn't commented before being like, this guy's literally insane. Like, his brain just keeps shutting down every 5 minutes. And I'm sorry! But with it being the case, Ballin guards himself, essentially revealing that you need to attack on magic and physical at the same time, as she attacked him with a magical... What? Where's my brain? I've been watching too much Leverage. Where's my brain going? Ballin guarded himself. So essentially, he can take damage. All right, if you guard, you can take damage. But we see that with this being the case, Ballin says, "It's been a fun battle with you, little lady, but I think it's time we settle this." He goes back, draws out the sword, and gets ready to absolutely viciously diff Gawain. And we see that Gawain says, "Heed my will, sacred sword Rita." And from the depths, with a gleam, the blade comes out. Ooh! Looking kinda clean. And she catches it and says, "What are you in such a rush for?" Only for Ballin to be like, "Rush? Sonic Rush? Oh, you don't have it? Or DS?" And then swings down with the Bone Slicer blade. And Gawain gets ready for a counterattack. And Hauser declares, "No! Dodge that!" And Gawain is like, "Dodge? Do you think I went to the school of Piccolo?" "Nah, G." And eats the attack, sealing it directly in her arm, clenching tight around it, to the point where Ballin can't get out. Gawain is just a little bit too tight for Oh, we're 56, 57 minutes in. No one's gonna hear that joke. That was landed in the rug. But we see that Ballin is shocked to see Gawain having sacked herself. And this is what I mean, right? I think this is the perfect time to talk about it. Ballin is kind of fraud because he can take damage, but at the same time... What was I just talking about? Oh! Ballin, he has Invincible. It's really, really good. Even though he can only take damage from physical and magical attacks fused together, he still does have the raw stats that is at least comparable to the Four Knights. And honestly, nerfing him a whole bunch like this, or at least clarifying what Invincible does, makes him more viable for them to join the main team, because there'll presumably be a bunch of characters who can do indirect damage. That would do direct damage to... What's happening? Why? I just want to get through the video now. Let's see. Oh. Ballin has stats relative to at least going into the Four Knights, which is still very, very impressive. The reason I say that, he's able to make her bleed, he's able to knock her back, he's able to stagger her, which, if he only had Invincible, which only increased his physical stats, But... What? Okay, we gotta do something. I keep looping. I'm trapped in... Who put me, gosh darn it, in... Not Kodomatsukami, but that probably doesn't help. Who put me in Izanami, bro? Someone, please, get me out of Izanami. I'm learning. Please wake up. Like, we will record the live reaction, no problem. Please wake up. Whew. Please. I just want to get through it. What was I talking about? Ballin. He has relative stats to Gawain of the Four Knights. We know this because Invincible does not buff offenses from what we understand of it so far, and it's not like the ruler where he gets buffed from taking damage or not taking damage. Thusly, he still must have the physical stats to knock around Gawain and block Gawain and take minimal damage anyway, which he does, implying that he, even with this weakness of Invincible exposed, is above Gawain and above a fat chunk of the original series just because of how high tier his output is. Is it that much higher? Unclear. I don't think he clears Lance. Lance violates him. I think she's going to struggle a whole lot against Percy. And I think Tristan is going to be a big struggle for him too. But I think ultimately he'll beat Tristan and he'll probably lose to Percy. But you may be wondering, hey, why not Gawain just winning? As clearly he's been caught off guard, and Gawain, he even says, I can't get it out? ball and sword is stuck deep inside Gawain. But with it being the case, we see Gawain say, "If this doesn't work, I'll admit my defeat to you." And we see she activates Afterglow Blade, a blazing sword of Rita, and swings it across Baln's body. And we see Capital declare, "Gawain's in... what does that say? Gawain's steel blade of flames crosses Baln's body. But in the end, the blade fails to penetrate. Except that's what you think until BOOM! But look, Baln's body has been severely burned. The proud, invincible man has taken his first damage." And Gawain says, "Now I see how your invincibility works. And now it's time to open up my counterattack." So, there we go. Made to the end of the chapter. One thing I want to admit, I still think Gawain's losing. I saw a lot of hope and cope in the Reddit comments. I think Gawain's still losing. I think this is very much a Goku Vegeta situation, but like Gawain's Vegeta and Percy's Goku, where he's gonna use all this information he ended up getting on the ultimate enemy, aka in the Universe 6 tournament hit, and then by proxy the Universal. Essentially, Vegeta jobbing is the exact same thing I expect for Gawain. I expect not much more from Gawain. I don't think she's going to win here. I think she discovered the weakness. I think Percy's going to learn the weakness. Tristan's going to learn the weakness. And they're going to be able to apply it better. Because once again, Baln just does seem to have better stats. Even if he can't remove the blade from her arm right here, he does seem to have better stats. He's been able to overwhelm with his physicals, even while taking no damage. So I think, honestly, he still has the offensive edge. I think it'd still be more satisfying for him to win, because then that would allow Gawain to realize she has value without victory. Right? So you simply loved and cared for by her friends because they're there to love and care for her. So overall, a W chapter. I'm so sorry. Your boy's brain just refused to work. But W chapter. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave fuzzy brain. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm so tired. Leave fuzzy brain in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave fuzzy brain in the comment section down below. I'm back in Izanami. You can leave fuzzy brain in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that notifications post so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you didn't have a picture down below where you support me for as low as $1 a month. These are exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the 30-minute live reaction to this very chapter, where I'm fully lucid, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $12 Patreon or a $12 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, the link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 views to a short video, 20 views to a long video, or any views at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, ready to go off. I'd like to thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Glacier XZ, Zara, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Gyomi, Yuki Ally, Buddha Uda, Azo 2404, Planet Crone, G Prosper, Nevis 97, and Ollie. I'd like to give a big old thank you to our line art tier patrons: Sean, Nirvana Igneel, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, and A+A. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our Inc. tier members: Fine, Austin Wimberly, Euchia, Carlo Alaimo, and Grim. And then I'd like to give a big old hefty thank you to our digital art tier members: Jay Warrior and AZ Void. And then I'd like to give a big old thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Walkie Munoz and Walkie Munoz. And then I'd finally like to give a giga super duper kidney sacrificing thank you to our ultimate, that guy with a heart on the horizon, Calvin Elder.